So we're just going to start with a quick intro. So would you mind telling us a little bit about yourself and just a bit about your background?
Yeah, for sure. So I'm originally from France, and I started basically in the video game industry about 20 years ago. I spent the most of my career as an environment artist before specializing in texturing over the past 10 years. And I worked on a bunch of AAA games such as Heavy Rain and Beyond Two Souls at Quantic Dream, Horizon Zero Dawn at Guerrilla Games, Ghost Recon Wildlands, and Assassin's Creed Odyssey at Ubisoft. I then went to Montreal to work on Gotham Knights at WB Games Montreal. And more recently, I worked on The Last of Us Part 1 at Naughty Dog, where I stayed for almost 4 years. You can see the frame in the background. I didn't realize it's right here with the signature. And yeah, it's been a year and a half now that I joined the team at Lightspeed LA as a principal environment artist. And I'm currently working on their new franchise, Last Sentinel,
Oh,
and that's about it.
wow, that's inspiring. I mean, Horizon Zero Dawn personally is one of my favorite games. So, but you've worked on loads of big titles, like ones that are specifically like in the spotlight. So that's really
Yeah,
cool.
it was my first experience abroad, basically working in Amsterdam, so it's a
Ah,
good memory. Yeah,
yeah.
it was great.
Well, we might have to
It
ask
was,
you
it was,
later on more about that. Actually, might be another session if you're up for it.
yeah, sounds good.
Yeah. So you've recently launched Vessel Forge, which is all really exciting, and the visuals and everything is absolutely amazing. It's a mentorship, but obviously I'll let you talk about it more, and career coaching platform. And what is it? Can you share with us a little bit more about it and what you kind of provide?
Yeah, for sure. So it's been a couple of years now that I was just like really thinking about going a step further and give back to the community. And I really wanted to support the new generation of artists. So that's why I founded Vessel Forge last year, which is a company dedicated to mentorship and career coaching. So I always loved like sharing my knowledge either through, speaking opportunities or articles, but I wanted to go a step further and be able to have actual one-on-one session with mentees where we could go through their work, talk about their struggle, and just give them the right advice. So right now I'm the only mentor offering material art and environment art mentorship as well as career coaching. But the plan is to expand the panel of mentor and just have more options for our mentees. So yeah, that's the project. I'm very excited. The reception has been incredible so far. It's almost overwhelming.
Wow.
The summer term is completely almost sold out. I still have one
Wow.
spot left, but it's just like crazy. So I'm almost fully booked until September, which is mind blowing. I'm super happy, and yeah, people are excited to learn more about the project, and yeah, I'm hyped. I'm starting next week my first batch of mentees, and they're really really good. So it's
Okay.
gonna be great. Yeah, it's gonna be
Yeah.
awesome.
Did you say you have one spot left?
Yeah, I have technically two spot left,
Okay, well,
but
whoever's on this
yeah,
call, I mean,
it's time. Just go go
yeah,
go for it.
yeah.
And yeah, I can briefly like yeah, if you wanna check out the website, it's up. It's you just have to type Vessel Space Forge on Google, or just in one word, vesselforge.com.
Okay,
So
get
we
that now.
just require an application process for the mentorship, just because I want to make sure that the mentees have the right level of knowledge to take this mentorship. So they don't lose their time, because there is
Yeah,
so much content available for free online now. They can, if it's to learn the basics, how to model, the basic rules of PBR, everything is already available online, so they don't need to take a mentorship for that. But when they're a couple of steps further and they really want to kind of like get to the next level, I think this is the right
yeah,
time. So that's why I'm asking for an application process. But we're taking the time to review everyone, and if you have a no as an answer, don't take it wrong. You can apply later on when you have like more content in your portfolio, and we'll review it again for sure.
yeah. That's amazing. We I've been talking about like mentors are worth their weight in gold, like quite literally. So anyone who joins is just, I think it's just the way to go. You get so much out of it, and personally, I wish I just went one on one, like So that's so cool. I just put it up vesselforge.com, so it's
Oh,
easy
sweet.
easy for everyone to look
Awesome.
at.
Yeah, yeah. totally.
Cool. Well, we might have more questions about that, but I'm just going to finish with two questions before the feedback, and it's a bit more
Hmm.
about general questions on junior talent and portfolios before we get into the specific ones for specific people here. So, as someone who works with emerging artists, like what are some of the biggest gaps you see in their portfolios generally today?
So basically, the gaps for me usually is it's consistency overall. The thing is, most of the time, mentees, or just junior artists, they start working on different type of project and they want to have a bit of everything in their portfolio, which is understandable. I did that. I've been through that. You want to have some props. You want to have some stylized stuff, realistic stuff, environment, materials, a bit of everything. But at some point, it's good to have some consistency, and also you want to see some visual identity, because this is what's going to make you get hired basically. So if you're able to have like a consistent portfolio where everything, even though you will have like materials, environment, weapons, whatever, type of example, it's still good to make sure that everything is at the same level of quality. And
Okay.
I know that sometimes it's kind of hard to cut some stuff because you spend a lot of time on it and you're like, I really love this project, I don't want to get rid of it. But sometimes it's just playing against you in your portfolio when you apply. If you keep some stuff that are too old or outdated and don't look as good as the rest, it's kind of playing against you, especially when you don't have a lot of projects in your portfolio. So
Yeah.
that's something that I feel junior talent kind of like are not aware of sometimes, because you want to put everything in your portfolio and you're like, oh, I love all these projects,
Yeah.
but you need to take a step back and just try to see through that and be like, okay, well, yeah, let's get rid of this one. I think it's not really in line with what I do. Is it as good as my latest project? Probably not. Can it still figure in my portfolio? Yes or no? You got to ask yourself this question. So I would say just consistency overall. I think it's something important.
Okay. So all the portfolio pieces should be they should represent what your current skill level is at that time.
Not necessarily. You can see an evolution, obviously, and
Okay.
it's normal. But when something is too behind or not really in line with what you want to do, let's say
Okay.
you have a concept art. I'm not saying that, and don't take everything I'm saying with a grain of salt, because it's not necessarily 100% true. If you have an amazing concept art and you want to put it in your portfolio, eventually, why not? It shows
Hmm.
that you have a good understanding of drawing and all. So maybe that can be cool. But let's say if you want to be environment artist, I would like kind of like pivot and just like kind of like set up my portfolio around that more, even
Okay.
though you will have some props. And I could show you my portfolio afterward, and
Yeah,
we
that'd be
could we
cool.
could see the different galleries I have in there. But you can still have some props and stuff like that, but it's good to have a solid understanding of what you want to do. When I see your portfolio, I want to know, okay, this person want to make character, this person want to make materials, etc.
Okay. Cool. Yeah, we'd love to see your portfolio. I think it's rare nowadays we actually see pros portfolios because they're always quite hidden. I mean, most of the time. Um, is that something you want to do now or at the end?
Oh, yeah, eventually, yeah, for sure. I can do that real quick.
Cool.
Entire screen. All right. Okay. Can you see my screen?
Yeah, you can see it.
Sweet. So yeah, obviously I have a lot of environments because, as I said, I spent most of my career as an environment artist before specializing in texturing, but I also have a lot of texture. But if you scroll down, you can see that, I have some characters, I have some, you know, ZBrush project where I was like studying how to make hard surface, like this project that I really like. It's 10 years ago. It's been a minute, but yeah. Here, this project was basically learning how to be comfortable in ZBrush and make a little hard surface project. And fun fact, I worked on that project while I was at Guerrilla Games on the side. That was my side project. So
Wow.
uh, I was really inspired by all the robot dinosaurs that people were making on the project. So I was like, all right, well, I got to do something on this side because I'm really inspired. And yeah, so here I have more environment, but these are more like work related, like not personal project, but actual games that I worked on. So it's a mix of stuff. I also have articles. I have a gun right here that I made a while ago as well. It's still okay. It's not the best weapon that you will see online, but it's still solid enough to be in the portfolio, I think. So you need to be kind of like as I said, take a step back. Even if you're attached to some of your project, just be like, okay, is this thing still good? Should I
Mm.
keep it or not? And then get rid of it if you need to. But that's what I wanted to show here.
Okay, yeah, thank you so much. I was
Yeah.
going to ask you another question, but I think we could probably just move on to feedback because I think that answers kind of the second question
Oh
anyway.
yeah, for sure.
Um, and I've again, like I put the link to Vessel Forge, and there's also a link to your art station there too. So if anyone wants to see,
Yeah,
um,
sounds good.
so yeah,
Yeah, the website's right here. Just check it out. We
very
have a
cool.
very cool video created by my friends from Lagoon Studios. So they've done a great job. But yeah, go check it out. I will just jump in the portfolio review.
Yeah.
Is there any question in the chat? I didn't check actually.
Oh yeah, if anyone has questions, that might be a good time on that.
Yeah.
Someone noticed you had a mug with Vessel Forge branding on it.
Yeah. I just have one basically. I just did one for fun and it's
And
came
top.
out cool. So
Yeah. I really like your logo. It's kind of Viking-esque. Is that wrong of me to say or like rune?
yeah, there was a different inspiration, but definitely, there's a bit of Viking in there,
Okay.
celestial kind of thing. I had like
Yeah.
a very kind of abstract concept that my friend Sasha was able to transcript in that logo. So I worked with her on it, and she did a great job. So yeah, I feel like feedback are great. People love the logo, and I like it too. Yeah, I dig it.
Yeah, it's cool. We have one question, sorry. Someone asked to
Of
review
course, yeah.
work, but Jonathan's already picked out work to review because we don't have limited time. So there's one. When it comes to consistency, should it only be quality or would you suggest keeping consistency of subjects as well? For example, mostly vegetation or mostly materials, etc.
When you start, I think it's good to still show a little bit of everything, but it has to be either in the same style, but I would say the quality is the most important part. Yes, to answer your question, you can have you can have different subjects as long as they're all good. If something is really like behind the rest, I might just get rid of it. Except if this is really what you want to do. If you want to be a foliage artist and only focused on that, then in that case, I would just like do more and just get better at it to the point where you're gonna have more foliage than the rest, and your portfolio is gonna stand out, and people are gonna be like, "Oh yeah, this is a great foliage artist. Let's hire him."
Mm-hmm.
That's my point of view on that. But it doesn't mean that you cannot do different things. As long as the quality is there, I think it's completely valid. And you can see my portfolio. I have like some helmet, like I have a fan art of Evangelion, like this kind of thing. As long as it's still looking cool and good, I would say just keep it.
Okay.
It,
Yeah.
dep- it also depends how many pieces do you have in your portfolio. That's also what's important. If you just have three artworks, then in that case, yeah, maybe try to consolidate and have something that is more oriented to what you want to do, really.
Mm-hmm.
And this vegetation, for example, that you're gonna be make this foliage can be included in a breakdown through your environment post eventually, if you want to be environment artist mostly. It really depends on what you want to do again.
Cool. Thank you. I think we should move on to portfolios because it's already 20 minutes past. So I'm
Sure.
gonna turn my audio off unless you need me. Is that okay?
Sounds good. Let's
Yeah.
do that.
Cool. Thank you.
Of course. All right. So, yeah, we're gonna start with Elian. Sorry don't if I don't pronounce your name right. I'm sorry. I'm doing my best, and I'm also victim of that. So people are butchering my name, so it's all good. I'm sorry. Um, but yeah, I kind of like this environment. I think so. I've been through the whole gallery, and I have a couple feedback here. But first off, I wanted to say that it's a nice framing. It's a nice shot. I like the main shot that you have here. Um, my feedback would be, what did you want to talk about here? What was the subject of your environment? And it's something very important, and it's something that I'm noticing a lot in the different environment that I've been reviewing. Um, Sometimes there is a lack of storytelling. You don't know what's going on here. So clearly I can tell, okay, it's an overgrown city, kind of like Last of Us-esque, post-apocalyptic. Okay, but what's going on here? What do you want to talk about? And I think there is a few missed opportunities to tell a story here. And I think it's very important when you make an environment is to tell a story. What do you want us to take from that when we look at it? And also, you know, directing the eye of the person who's gonna watch your environment is important too. When I look at your environment, I'm looking up there right here. Is it where you wanted me to look at first? I'm not 100% sure. If the you wanted me to look at the train right here, then maybe you will have to get rid a bit of that rust and get some shiny paint, so you have like a some nice specular on your train right here. So I want to look at it more. Here it's not super clear to me where you want us to look at. So that would be the second thing. And yeah, if we go more in depth, just like general feedback, when we when you place vegetation on an environment, especially like sci-fi like that, you wanna have some you wanna ground things and make things believable. So here you have these IVs growing all around, but where do they come from? Usually IVs are coming from the ground, or maybe they're gonna be coming from the top because there's an opening here, and then it's gonna come down and start growing over like this arches and everything. But they cannot be repeated all over like that. you know it has to be plausible. And also you need to think, okay, these place looks very dark. Does the light that's coming in enough to get some vegetation to grow there, or should I just like focus the vegetation in the areas that are in the sun mostly, because this is where it's going to grow? It's also very wet. um, so this is all the kind of question you should ask yourself, just to make your whole environment be more realistic overall. Something I wanted to mention as well with the water is that your train right here is most likely going to have some algae growing on it. And even though the train has been there for maybe 10 years or so, it won't be completely rusty like that. You would still have some paint, and you will have some edge wear, and the paint will start peeling, etc., etc. And same, the graffiti wouldn't be over the rust. The rust would be over the graffiti because people make that graffiti prior to that time. So you would just see it on the paint, and the graffiti would be peeling with the paint in that case, if that makes sense. So this is the kind of thing that you want to think about, because here, right here, if I look at that, I'm like, huh, so someone came to do that graffiti after that train was all rusty like that, but it's in the water. How is it possible? This kind of thing. So you need to kind of like go further than just doing something that look cool. You also need to learn how to justify these things. And just from experience, on The Last of Us, there was a lot of feedback that we had is like, you have a puddle right here, then you need to have like a busted pipe above you, or a hole in the roof, or something that kind of justify that wetness right here. Cannot just be there just because you think it's cool. So this is very important to keep in mind. And same for these vegetation, like kind of like this ivy is kind of growing on the train right there. Where is it coming from? You know, how is it possible that it grows there? You know, so mm, minor stuff, but I think overall it's important to keep that in mind. And so I wanted to look back with an example of an environment that I made that kind of like made me think about that, which is a train station that I worked on for The Last of Us Part One. Um, so here it's like completely abandoned, kind of like station, and then as you go, you have a whole area of the section that is completely flooded. um, and this is what I wanted to show you. So here you can tell that you have like some algae wetness that it is coming from the water, and the bottom of the train is kind of like progressively getting like completely, you know, covered with, you know, moisture and algae and stuff. So the dirt is coming from the bottom, and you have a logic behind it. And here you have like this algae line that I placed according to the level of water. So all these kind of details are really like selling the whole thing. And if I go to this next gallery, here you have literally that kind of like flooded section. And here it was more to put the accent on the vegetation. So here we place the vegetation in an area that kind of makes sense, because there's that hole on the ceiling. The water probably came in, and this is how it got floated. But then the sun comes in from this area, and this is where the vegetation start growing. And this is where you have all the wetness and coming and accumulating, etc. So you have like some moss growing on top of that train, um, etc., etc. So hopefully it makes sense, but I just wanted to compare these two artworks just to show you a little bit of the intention that goes behind it. And same, even though this train is in the water, I think it's still cool to have some paint still present on it, because you want to have some contrast in the materials as well. So yeah, that's about it for decent environment. But again, great job overall. I think you can bring it a little further and rework a few things to avoid having like too much repetition, and kind of like try to justify everything a little more. Uh, but yeah, great job again. All right, so now let's move on to this other portfolio. So I hope your name is Chia. I hope I pronounced it well. I think you're from France, but great job. It's I really like this portfolio, and I wanted to talk about it earlier on, just because when I was mentioning consistency in a portfolio, I think this is a great example. Everything works together nicely. The thumbnails are well chosen. The composition are nice. And you can tell that overall there is a visual identity in this portfolio. Even though there's no realistic stuff or anything, and you know, you're clearly into stylized, but you're doing it well. And that's awesome, because you make a choice, and it's great sometimes to make a choice in a portfolio and be like, all right, I'm going to go all in stylized, because this is what I want to do in the future. I want to work at Riot, or I want to work at Blizzard, or I want to work in a company that only make stylized. And that's completely legit and fine. It's just that it's bold and great to have it so early in a portfolio. And I think here it's good because, again, everything is really working pretty nicely. Even your older project, even if you can tell this is a little behind compared to your last piece, but it's still working pretty well. And I just wanted to go through this gallery right here, because um, yeah, here it's really nice. It's a great, you can tell that there is a great artistic um, understanding behind it. And it's very, the work is very subtle. I like the stylization on the sheep. It's very cute. And you can tell my portfolio is, you know, completely the opposite of that, is like realistic, um, and very sharp details and stuff. This is what I like personally. But I think as an artist, you need to be able to appreciate different style of art, and I'm completely able to say, oh, this is looking great and this is quality work here, even though you're a junior or you just start in the industry or you're freshly out of school. I think this is great. The composition works nicely too, and materials as well. Everything is consistent, nothing stand out. It works well in your environment. The kit, the breakdown is cool. It's nice to have a breakdown in your gallery as well. So yeah, no, great job overall. I think it's a very, very cool project. And one detail on these atlases, I would say be careful with the padding around your leaves. If you want to cut out some meshes, I would say you have some empty spaces right here, and we have a sharp eye in the industry. We're kind of checking at every single detail. So if you show some of the process, make sure that you don't show any mistakes or little things where we could call you out. So for example, here, yeah, there is a bit of empty space. Maybe you could have placed a couple more leaves, and I know that you need some padding to cut your card around, but still, there is like some empty space. People could call you out on this kind of thing, so it's good to keep it in mind. But again, I like this sort of like AO solid color render with just the lighting, and the breakdown right here works always super well. And yeah, you did that first shot with the video, and you have like some particles. Let me bring it back up. There we go, right here. So yeah, you have a bit of animation. We could have had like a little more particles in the air, but you still have like some butterflies and stuff. It's great to have a bit of animation like that. It's always cool. And yeah, I'm just gonna go through this gallery as well because I feel like it's great. It's looking great. We kind of want to visit this world and this little like city right here. It's very cool, and yeah, I think it's again working nicely. A little behind in terms of quality versus the latest project, I feel, but still very good. And we can tell that you've been progressing between these two projects, so it's good to see it. But yeah, great job overall on these portfolio. Keep it up. Like really, it's great stuff. All right, so Giovanni. All right, so let's take a look at your portfolio. So on this project, something I wanted to mention. Yeah, I forgot about that. But usually, I personally don't like to have a video first. I do prefer having the beauty shot first and then the video, because sometimes when you load a gallery on ArtStation and you see a video, people are just gonna come out of it and they don't want to watch the video. They don't have time. They want to see the cool art right away. And that's just the feedback I want to give you, because people do that unconsciously. They just quit the gallery because it's like, oh shit, that's a video, I don't want to watch that. And it's good to have the beauty shot first, and then you have the video that shows more about it. So that's just a thing, that to keep in mind. But yeah, I like your beauty shot. I think it's really cool. When I look more in depth again, just like the first environment that we looked at with the train station, I feel like there is some missing opportunities here to play with the wetness and have something, you know, m- more shiny for the wood, and start like you want to have like some rotten wood. Maybe if the water has been stagnant for a while, everything got rotten, and you did it on the wallpaper. But and here you did it too. But here, when it's next to the water, where it should be completely greenish and old and about to fall apart, then you didn't do it too much, or at least it's not as visible as it should. Um, so that's one of the feedback. What I like is that you have this light source and you've justified nicely the vegetation right here. So definitely there is a hole in there, light comes in, rain comes in, and then the vegetation start growing on the staircase, and it's very cool. I like that shot. It's working nicely. Then if we go more into detail, so here you have a UV seam. I saw it. And then overall textile density, it's important to be careful with that. Here you have the wooden detail that are tiling a lot, but here you can see that it's quite upscale compared to these detail right here. So it's important to keep that in mind when you work on the whole environment, just to make sure that everything is consistent. Um, He's working nicely. That's a cool shot too. Uh, I like the attention of like attention to details right here. This addressing is cool. Um, yeah, this is great job overall. I like that you're showing your kit breakdown. I think you could have had a little more like peeling wallpaper and stuff like that. I think it would have been great. I will show you an example in a second, but it's good that you're showing some materials, even though you're not, you know, clearly you're into environment. It's good to show that you can make materials, even though they're not going to be the best. It doesn't matter as long as you have an understanding of how to make them. Ultimately, in production, you will have a dedicated team that is going to create the materials for you. So, but it's good to know how to make a trim. What is textile density? Obviously, it's super important, but it's good to be able to do a bit of everything yourself, baking props, etc., just so you know how it works. And in the future, you might not have to make these props or make these materials, but at least you would have a very good understanding of how to make them. So that's very important. So yeah, just to look back again on some examples. So this is another environment from The Last of Us. So you have like this collapsed floor, and I just wanted to show some of the peeling paint. I will show you that afterward, but I kind of like this gallery because it was a very fun exercise to kind of like blend in this destruction. And here you have like some more example for peeling paint and wallpaper. So wet wallpaper. So we generated that using Marvelous Designer, and we just placed them. So here it's just a breakdown of how we did it with like some vertex color. So here I'm painting the damaged wall, like revealing basically the glue underneath, kinda. And then I'm just blending that with the wall. I'm adding some more damage right here, and then you'll see I'm adding some wetness as well. There you go, with the wetness. Trying to have like some, water infiltration showing up basically, and then you have like this kind of like peeling wallpaper. And so these stripes have been mapped on the material I created, and it's just like a two-sided material that we applied on um, this piece of wallpaper. But yeah, that's about it. That's how I worked on this section. But yeah, I think you have a lot of good ideas here. I think you can again push it a little further. Here you have I remember the wallpaper here is kind of like rotten and falling apart. I think that would be cool to have like to make it a little more organic with the vegetation that you have here, having like you know, some piece of wallpaper that are like kind of falling. It's gonna create like some nice like curves and stuff. So everything is not too straight and rigid in a way. I think that would add a lot to get that in. But yeah, overall, good job again. It's nice. I like that you're showing the breakdown as well to show your kit pieces. It's always good. All right. Uh, do you guys have any question before I go to the next person, just to double check? Nikita, do you want to follow up with the question, or should I check it out myself? I'm
Yeah,
not sure.
sorry, I'm just having a look.
Mm, No, you're good.
For this one, there wasn't a question so far, but obviously, if you have one, please ask it. The guy before
Mm-hmm.
Did have one. Rita. Was it before?
Alien?
Uh, no, was it the one afterwards? It says maybe was there a Rita or not? Maybe it was just maybe it wasn't that person. Someone asked, "Can you please share more about the research process that went into vegetation placement and material behavior?"
Um, so yeah, I would ask for some more information about that question, but basically, if I understand well, you're asking how do we decide of the vegetation placement? Is it the question? I'm not sure.
Yeah, I think it. I think it's so that was Russian. Yes.
Oh, okay.
I
Yes.
yeah.
Okay. Well, it's a matter of, balance and composition at this point. When you place some vegetation on a wall, you don't want to have it everywhere. Obviously, it has to stand out and it has to make some sense. So I'm coming back on that environment. Sorry, Alien, I'm talking about it again. But for example, instead of having a touch of vegetation everywhere and it's like all scattered around, that would be much better to have a whole chunk of the wall completely covered and the rest not. And then you can let the rest of the environment breathe more and have more details maybe on the bricks. Some of the bricks like started falling apart and you have like some damages and stuff. So I would say it's just a matter of composition and how do you want to, like, how much percentage of vegetation do you want to have on screen versus how much do you want to reveal your environment underneath. So that's always about that, and it's taking a minute. Honestly, it's just like you would want to do a paint over basically and just be like, okay, I want to have vegetation right here and then it's fading out, and then I want it a little back here in the corner, etc., etc. So it's all dependent on what you want to do visually, but it's really all about composition and balance on screen. Yeah, I hope it answers your question. But yeah, shall we move on to the next artist?
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, let's do it. Yeah, sorry guys, it's taking a minute. I'm not gonna have time to go through everyone. But yeah, let's chat about David. David, real quick. Overall, this is a good example and something I wanted to mention. When you have a portfolio on ArtStation, please do spend time on your thumbnails. This is what's gonna make me want to click on it or not. And if you don't have a solid thumbnail with a nice, composition framing, um, I'm most likely not gonna click on it. And when it's like lost in the middle of all the posts from everyone, you want your artwork to stand out. And usually I would add a kick to it. I would add a little bit more brightness contrast to it. I would add a bit of vignettes specifically for the thumbnail. I wouldn't just like drag and drop my beauty shot in there and call it a day. It's usually not working. You need to work on your thumbnail as you would work on your first image of your gallery. This is super important. And, again, let's go back to my portfolio, just to show you that I've been working on all these thumbnails. I've been adding some vignettes, a little kick to it, as I said, brightness, contrast, a bit more saturation, just to get something that kind of like pop a little more. And you will want to click on it, and it's just going to stand out a little more. Then if you just drag and drop your image and be like, all right, good enough, bye, I'm done, then in the gallery you might not, when you have all these posts, people wouldn't want to click on it necessarily. So here it's something very cool about that portfolio. So David, great job on that. I like that everything has been worked. You can tell that he framed everything nicely. You have this little text and all. It's not always necessary to have the text, but at least it's consistent. um, but yeah, I think this is something I wanted to mention on that portfolio. Is really good. So again, maybe not the best material, but I think it's pretty good. My only not concern, but feedback would be, if you want to showcase a material as your first gallery, it has to be really good. It has to be a hero texture, what I would call a hero texture. Um, if you want to be an environment first, I would say put that material at the end and just show it as, hey, I can also do materials, even though that's not my forte. You know, that's what I would do. But it might be just your last project, and in that case, yeah. But I don't think so. I think this one is more recent. See, posted last month, and that one is like 2 years ago. Oh no, 2 weeks ago. Never mind. Okay, that one is more recent, so that's why you put it last. So here that makes sense, but I will still put it maybe not in first, because if what you want to do is environment again, I think that would be better to have your Shogun environment first. But yeah, I would say for this material, feedback would be the lighting. I think you missed an opportunity here to kind of highlight a little more the work on the roughness. Here, everything is we're facing the wrong angle to get some nice material response. So that's what kind of like bother me here. Even though we have it there a little bit, I feel like here it's missing. And if you want to tell the story of, okay, this is the floor of an environment, then you will want to frame it maybe a little differently. Maybe you want to see that chair, okay, but maybe you will have a rug in the background. Maybe you have a table. Maybe something fell on the ground and you have, like, I don't know, the plate is on the ground, forks and knives, something fell. Uh, Cup is on the side with some wine on the tiles, like something that you want to try to tell a story when you open it up like that, I would say. Except if it's there is nothing, and in that case you're just showcasing the material, but it's clear. Here it's like, it feels like you're in between, like, do I want to make an environment, but not really, so I just put a chair, but I didn't go further than that. So I think it's kind of missing opportunity here. um, Here I like that. Why not? It's a interesting presentation. I didn't see that often, but why not? On the cylinder, I wouldn't have these shadows, because to me it's kind of like, I don't really see clearly the work on the albedo and the material right here. So it feels like you still have some shadows from something, because I don't see any of these details in your normal right there. So just something to keep in mind. And here you have a little breakdown with the GIF. It's cool. And I personally don't post my graphs because I don't think it's worth it in that context. If you just show a whole graph like that, I don't think it's really useful. If you want to highlight a recipe or something or a little breakdown, then in that case, just zoom it in and then everyone can understand it. But right now it's kind of difficult to read through that. So yeah. But yeah, just to go back on the Shogun environment, I think it's really cool. I like this environment. I think it's again, solid framing. The point of interest right here, obviously, this is where you look at. Only comment would be, you have maybe 70 to 60% of the environment in the dark. I would want to have like some more either light fixture or torches or candles or stuff that kind of help to see a little more what's going on here, because it's very difficult. I can see obviously the point of interest here again, but I don't see much of the environment right there. And I think it would have been cool to see a little bit more of it, and also kind of balance the color values with this very blue environment. And then you would have like maybe some warm tint over there, maybe with some candles here and there. I think that would have helped and kind of help detach like some of these elements that you have in the foreground. Um, so yeah, one of the other thing I wanted to mention on this environment is, unfortunately, the materials, and I've seen it mostly on the breakdown. It's still visible here, but I'm just gonna go through the whole gallery right away. But yeah, what I noticed is that everything is very grungy and noisy. I don't think you need that in this environment, even though it's like an abandoned kind of like, temple or castle. I don't think you need all these noise in the painted wood right here. I think you should localize this edgeware a little more instead of having it everywhere, because this is what makes everything a little bit noisy, especially on that sign behind. Um, and one other thing would be the material response. I think that this painted wood could be slightly more glossy, because everything is kind of rough right now. Even the gold accents are not really standing out, and this is something I would like to see from here. You know, all these gold accents should like kind of like just take the light and kind of pop out in the background, and this is where you would want to look at even more. So I think it's again a missing opportunity here, but I'm sure you can probably adjust that pretty quickly. So yeah, I would say remove a bit of noise, increase the intensity of the metal accent, the gold accent, just so they stand out a little more. And I think that's gonna already make everything look a little better. But again, overall, I'm just like, pinpointing like everything that is, in my sense, not working. But overall, great job again. Yeah, that's a cool project, and it's good to show that again you can do some materials, and it's like that you have like this little mask to show that you have an understanding of how to create these materials. So it's always good to show in a portfolio. But yeah, here again, I think this food should be a little less noisy, and you could like come up with some more either vertex color or some word space mask to kind of break up the painted wood with some grunge and stuff. But kind of like, again, think about how would you tell that story and where this damage come from, etc. But yeah, good stuff overall. And I'll just go through real quick to this last project from David. I really like this framing right here. I think it's really cool. Speak for itself. The composition is great. It's really interesting. Um, I would be careful with these kind of shot where we kind of lose a bit of the focus, and it's kind of hard to. I feel like these shots are a little behind. That one is very interesting too. You have a solid photo there. It's nice to have the little breakdown, and I like this video too. It's very cool. Um, but yeah, I would say be careful with the shot. I would say rework either these two shots, or remove them, because I think they're behind compared to the other ones. But again, great job. I just wanted to highlight this gallery. I really liked it. It's really cool. All right, I cannot go through your other works, but yeah, good stuff overall. All right, so Yaneli, I see you in the chat. So yeah, I wanted to go through your portfolio because I basically saw it popping on my LinkedIn not too long ago, and I was like, oh, it's looking good. And then I saw your submission, so it's great that you're here. Um, so yeah, let's take a look at your latest piece. So overall, great job. It's working very well. Um, but one of the first thing I thought about is, where am I supposed to look at? You know, what's going on here? So obviously you want to look at the shrine, but is there anybody here? Is it abandoned? What happened? Is someone still living there? And in that case, I would be like, okay, well, maybe I would like to see some light inside. Maybe someone is here, and you have like a warm light in there, and I wanna go inside and see what's up. Um, I think here it's just something that is missing to me, or even the lighting could have been hitting the shrine a little more, so you kind of like guide the eye of the person looking at your artwork a little more. But you know, uh, overall, again, it's really good. I'm really like pinpointing the the thing that I think would make this environment stand out even more, because it definitely stand out. It's looking great. The work on the trees is really cool. Um, can tell the attention to details, but yeah, I think these would help a lot. Also, and it's something that I love to do in my personal work, but obviously I would add some metal accents in there, either some gold leaf or silver, but something that make that shrine kind of like make it a little more shiny, and having like some elements, maybe having like something above the door, or even like an ornate door that could have been super cool, or just a bit of light, some candles, something that kind of like, you know, get a little pop in there and kind of stand out from the rest, because everything is kind of like brown and reddish. If I squint, I just see these kind of colors with the green, obviously, of the vegetation. But I think that would have been cool to have something that kind of stand out, maybe a little more yellow, or orange in there, just to kind of get some more attention inside. But again, great job. It's looking really cool. So that's what I wanted to say on this artwork, and then we can go through the other ones. So that one, you did it basically. You put the light inside, and I'm like, oh yeah, I want to visit that temple. I want to go inside. It's really cool. And I missed that on this other piece, the latest one, the shrine. But I really like the composition right here. You have the video. It's not playing, but usually it does. You have some animation right here. It's great. The breakdown, always good. And then I like this render with just the a solid gray color and kind of like the AO and just the lighting. It's really good. I feel like materials could be improved for sure, but as I said, it's good to show that you have an understanding of PBR and how to make materials. And in your environment, honestly, overall with the lighting and and everything, it's working. It's working. So definitely one of the soft skill that you can work on, material creation. But in terms of environmental art, composition, and you have a very good understanding of what makes an image look good. So that's great. Again, nice framing. It's very, very cool. And that one is probably one of my favorite of all, to be honest. um, I really like that and that's one of the things that I'm seeing a lot in portfolios, is that mentees kind of struggle to break the straight lines. They have a lot of vertical and horizontal lines, and it's very blocky sometimes. And here you just did exactly what I'm just telling the mentees, is just like have some curve, have something a little more organic. And here you break it, you kind of broke it down very well. It's just like you have this double kind of curve on the silhouette of your house, and just the framing is great. So you have like this hill coming down, this other one coming up, and then you have like this house that is nicely framed with the sky behind. I think it's a very nice composition. So great job on that again. On this little animation, and that's something I wanted to mention. Someone is clearly inside because there is the chimney working. There's some fire coming out, but I would expect these lights to be animated and to be probably darker. If it's a fire pit or if it's a chimney, then you want to have something warmer probably. Here it's looking just emissive. And when I looked at your breakdown, I was like, oh, but she added here and she kind of lost it, and it ended up being just an emissive light going through the window. So I think like here it would have been great to have like a bit of animation on that light intensity, just coming on and off, sort of, just kind of what you would expect from, obviously a fire or a candle. I think that would be cool. And same, maybe I would go a little warmer on that color, but again, I'm being picky right here. I think overall you really did a great job. This environment is really nice. Great job on the vegetation as well, and the trees. It's good to see some work on the silhouette. It's really nice. Again, good to show the materials right here. I think they work in your environment overall. Slightly stylized, but clearly it's the intention there. But yeah, great stuff. And just I was talking about sometimes getting rid of some pieces in your portfolio, and even though you're attached to it and it's difficult and you don't want to, uh, but and again, don't no offense on that. I really feel like even though you have this vehicle, I feel like it looks great and it's nice box modeling. It looks great, good stuff. Keep it. But I feel like this project for me kind of like stand out in the wrong way just because it's too different. And when we see that, I wouldn't say I'm confused, but it's just like I feel like this is not in line with what you do right now. It's kind of maybe it was you at some point, but I feel like this is more you now, and this is what you want to showcase more than this. So this is one of the artwork that I would potentially remove. And again, take time to think about it. No pressure. It's just like something. Sometimes it's hard to uh, just pull the trigger on it, and you're like, no, I really like this artwork. Like it has a sentimental value or anything. I've been through that, so I understand. But sometimes it's good to be like, okay, try to take a step back and be like, okay, maybe I should get rid of that at some point. But again, no offense and no judgment. Overall, your portfolio is super solid. So great stuff here. All right, maybe we have time for one more.
Sorry, she had a question. Is it right if we answer that question?
Oh yeah. Sorry, I didn't
Okay.
check the.
Cool. She said, I have a quick question from the Wraith's Refuge house to my most recent piece. What stands out the most from that one to my most recent piece? I've had a lot of people say the house is the best one. What is different from the two that I am missing in the recent pieces?
Um, to me, I think it's everything's too perfect here. What I like here is that you have a bit of stylization in there, and it makes things a little more organic, and it's more of a kind of like fantasy kind of environment, I would say. And that's what makes it stand out. Here, it's more grounded. But if you add a little more destruction and bring back that kind of like organic feeling to it, even though you have some vegetation, but this temple is very blocky. It's straight. You have vertical, horizontal. It's very strong. But here, if you had maybe that whole chunk completely collapsed, or that could be anything, but bring more organicity. And also there is no real silhouette right here. You have this entrance of the temple right here. You have it a little more here, but the silhouette is more happening on the cliff behind, more than around this shrine. So here what's great is the composition is working. It's very organic, slightly stylized, but I think it's a good thing here. And that's what makes, in my opinion, this environment stand out more. It doesn't mean that this is not good. I think this is probably uh, it's very well crafted, probably more than the other one. But the composition of the other one is, in my opinion, much better. But again, it's two different scenario. But yeah, that's it. Hope it helps. Yeah, of course. All right, so let's move on. Yeah, I think we can do one more. We're already past 5 minutes. Mm. So Patrick, um, yeah, let's take a look at your environment. So what I like is that you've been doing some storytelling here, and that's cool. It's something that I miss, as I said, sometimes. Here you have like these toys, so clearly some kids were living there, and people had to leave for some reason, or they got attacked, or it's post-apocalyptic. I don't know. I'm kind of like trying to picture where we're at right here. Um, One feedback though, even though again, I would start with the key shot and I would put the video afterward. Except especially here because you have to click on it and people don't like to click. So if it's a click to see your gallery and I have an extra click, half of the people are gonna be leaving. Just so you know, it's this is what usually happens. Um, but yeah, for this main shot right here, uh, one feedback, just like that, all the graffitis are standing out way too much. They should be they shouldn't be as present as they are right now, because you want to put the accent on the storytelling. If you have these toys right here, then this is what I'm looking at. But all these graffitis right here with the saturation is kind of like bothering me a little bit, and I'm kind of losing track of the storytelling. I love that you have like this little teddy bear right here, but same. Maybe the lights could have been hitting the toys a little more if this is what you want to talk about mostly. Here I see the piano. Maybe the toy could have been on the piano, so it's like in the light, but then you would have had to probably move it over so it's a little more centered and frame. So again, I think there's something to do with the placement of the assets and the lighting here, because I'm mostly looking at that hot point right here. And then I see this little car, and then I kind of see the teddy bear in the background right here. But I think all the graffitis should be just much more subtle. Just remove the opacity, like divided by 70%, and just make them, either you make them fade or just desaturate them all and just lower the brightness. But these should be completely in the shade. Same for this guy right here. Same for this guy. So this is the kind of thing I would adjust. And I think just by rebalancing that, just rebalancing the graffiti would bring you a step further, just by doing that. Um, and yeah, I think, the quality of the materials can probably be improved. Here it's very noisy, and almost it almost looks like a plaster instead of leather. But again, you don't have to be an expert at material creation. Here it's a little noisy as well. If you make environment, it's good to show that you can make materials as well, even though they're not the best. Just be careful about the material response and make sure that it does look like the material you're trying to do. So yeah, again, here it's a little looks like a concrete sofa, almost. Um, but yeah, I think it's good to have some storytelling. I think it's a nice touch. And yeah, again, I don't know if you know Jet Set Radio. It's a very old game, but it reminds me of that, where you have like all these flashy graffitis around, and I don't think it's what you wanted to do here. But maybe that was the intention, and in that case, that's cool. But I feel like he had like a very kind of like dark vibe with the storytelling, with the kid playing in this kind of like sketchy place, and we're kind of losing it with this graffiti that kind of make it a little funny somehow. And we're losing the abandoned vibe as well, just because they're so fresh and intense. It looks kind of gamey in a way. So yeah, that's my feedback on that one. Um, and I can do one last eventually. Darius, I really love this environment. I don't know if you're around, but yeah, great job on that one. It's not what you always see in a portfolio. Again, it's pretty bold to go all in, stylized like that, and I really like it. Everything is painted, and this is something that you don't see often. And again, it's a you put your portfolio in a position where you're clearly telling a future employer, I want to work on stylized game, not anything else. It's a bold statement in our industry nowadays, but I think it's great that you have this visual identity. And this environment is really nice. I really like it. There is this old school vibe that is really cool. Everything is painterly, and you understand what makes an environment look good. And yeah, I think it's really nice. I really like it. Again, you have the breakdown right here. It's always good. Um, some rocks. I like the stylization of that whole environment. It's really cool and consistent. And it's good that you've put the video at the end. just let it play for everyone if you didn't see it. It's pretty dope. Yeah, good stuff. Maybe a little more particle in the air, but honestly, it's looking nice. And I like to always have a good breakdown at the end. It's always good stuff. Yeah, that's it, guys. I think maybe we can keep it there. If that's cool, Nikita.
Yeah, thank you so much. That was great.
Yeah.
I mean,
So,
you explained things so well.
well, I try my best.
You do. I'm just seeing if I have any questions, last minute questions, but I can't see any. Oh, I have one question. So I have to do one question?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, cool. And then we can call it. Because after finishing a big project, how do you keep the narrative energy going into the next one to maintain the momentum? Is there a plan for each project, or is there a case by case depending on the story?
Honestly, I would say it's really about yourself. Like how do you feel? What's your inspiration? For me, for example, sometimes I just travel to a country and I see something and I'm like, holy crap, I want to do a project inspired by that. And then sometimes I don't do it right away. It needs to, you know, just kind of grow in me, and it's just taking me a minute to kind of like think about it, and then I'm like, oh yeah, okay, I can bring this back and create that thing. So this is what happened, for example, with the barrack ceiling I created. I can just share my screen again, just super quickly. Um, but yeah, for example, these barrack ceiling, basically, I worked on it after a trip to Rome. I came back from Rome,
Mm.
and I was just like kind of blown away by the profusion of details inside the monuments over there.
Wow.
And I was like, oh my God, I need to do something inspired by that at some point. Sorry, it's not loading
Wow.
very well. Let me go to, God damn it. Sorry. There you go. Well, it's loading. It's taking a minute. But so when I worked on this material, it was something I've seen in a trip, like a year prior to starting it. And I did this project in 2019, so just like 7 years ago. It sounds crazy to me because I feel like it was kind of yesterday. But
Mhm.
uh, yeah, I worked on that project after a trip to Rome, and then on a following project, I worked on something else that I got inspired with during either another trip or something I've seen on the TV. Other example, I was reading to the TV show Vikings at some point, and I did that project because of this TV show, and I was like, oh yeah, I kind of want. And look, I'm doing what I said. I started with the beauty shot, and then I have the video, just
Mhm.
just to double down on that. But yeah, for that environment, for example, I was into the TV show Vikings, and I was like, all right, well, I really would like to make that king sword that everyone is having in the storyline because it looks really cool. And then I was like, oh wait, well, actually, I can make the king sword, but I can make the shield from Bjorn, and I can make the shield from Lagertha, and I can make the axe from this character and this character and this character, and I ended up like making that whole scene just because of a TV show that I was inspired
Mhm.
with. So, and here I can just show you real quick the video. But yeah, it's just like, just everything can feed your imagination, and you can just make a project out of everything that inspires you. That can be a travel, that could be a TV show, that can be uh, like an exposition, whatever you're gonna see, photography or whatever, and keeping the momentum is difficult for sure, but you try to. I think it's easier to be constant and always do something, then stop for a while and try to get back to it. This is the
Yeah.
hardest. So I would recommend people to always, try to stay active, stay aware of new method, new techniques, to always learn, because it's really difficult when you stay kind of stagnant for a bit and then
Mm.
you need to catch up on so many things. It's really hard. So yeah, I would suggest people to keep kind of like grinding as much as you can and keep the momentum. It's tough, but I think it's really worth it in the end. And yeah, I'm just showing the breakdown of these because these weapons are not made as you would think. They're not baked. I didn't sculpt a high poly, and I did a model low poly to bake it. I literally did that in Substance Designer. So I just used planes with UV coordinates, and that's it. So it's just the height map doing the heavy lifting right here. But yeah, that's it.